Hi Taurus, welcome to the day of the moon. My name is Drew and this is the Indigo Void. I'm here to give you a general reading along with a You Against the World spread and an Indigo Angel Oracle card reading. This will be for the week of September 7th through the 13th, just Monday to Monday. I do these hours, I do these readings, typically in the day of the moon for Taurus and Cancer, and you're first up. So let's get you going on your general spread. Just gonna shuffle these cards one more time. But if anybody's wondering, I'm using a mythical tarot. Center of the reading is the Empress, which is your energy, crossed by the Eight of Swords, overlaid by the Ace of Pentacles, underlined by the Three of Pentacles, recent past the Queen of Cups, the near future is the Six of Swords, your advice is the Page of Pentacles, the Hangman is how others are seeing you, your hopes is the Five of Wands, and the final outcome, or possible outcome for the reading, is the Three of Wands. So from looking at the energy, what I can see right away is that, being within your element, having a lot of self-worth and self-respect is the name of the game. Being in the center of the reading crossed by the Eight of Swords, that could be facing possible stagnation and threats to that energy. So if you're caught up in your head dealing with some self-esteem issues, or maybe word of mouth, or just your inner thoughts, not allowing you to either maintain your self-respect, your self-worth, or how you're expressing that, or being within your own energy, if you feel off or feel unhinged, or if you feel not like yourself, that's perfectly normal in this energy. But you can recognize that those are just because it's the Eight of Swords, is all about it being in your head. The most important thing about a Taurus is making sure it's yours. I don't want to use the cliche being stubborn, but it's kind of the my way or the highway routine typically. And we'll go on with the overlay. The outward energy that's obvious to yourself is the Ace of Pentacles. So it could be doing with a new routine, a new foundational being. So it could be anything from, I typically say people, places, or things, but when it comes to the situation, it's that it could be, how can you maintain that energy of self-respect and self-worth, facing a financial obstacle or a new beginning, or having to start over, and being trapped in your head with the Eight of Swords. It can be whether it's worth the risk or not. Facing that dilemma of leaving what you've established or having to change. Or that's one thing about a Taurus that they can't stand, especially with Uranus being in your energy in your sign right now. Your ascendant, your sun, your Venus, wherever it's at, it can be very challenging for you to have to deal with change, or to uproot, or to adapt to a situation you're so used to, and especially one that's obviously allowed you to prosper. And that happens in all aspects of our lives at times. Having to learn how to change and adjust to things, it's not fun, especially if you're a Taurus. In my experiences, on the underlining is the Three of Pentacles. So, I usually typically think this card resonates with people that are being rewarded for being qualified, but before a job has been completed, completely. What I see from this card is people understand that you have a high reputation of being qualified for what you do with your time, or what you invest in. And it can be hard because people usually trust you with your work. And if you're having doubts, or if you're unknown about the quality or the qualifications it takes to, whether it be you're qualified to be the person that you are in any field, whether it be a relationship, a workforce, or just simply how you feel within yourself, to have people show you respect based on previous endeavors, and inside you could have this feeling, this gut feeling that maybe I am not qualified, or maybe I was just happenstance, or I was just lucky with my things. But at the same time is that you could be dealing with something that's completely unknown, and realizing that people trust you, but that could be a lot of pressure in of its own to feel trusted by others, to look upon you to be successful. Whether you're successful or not, I don't care if you have $5 in your bank account. As a Taurus, people will naturally recognize that you have it held together. It's a very challenging sign to have, because people usually look at you as a sign of self-respect, as well as getting stuff done of quality. That's the name of the game when it comes to Taurus, is being of high value and quality. And who doesn't like that? Especially when a new opportunity comes along, people want to see how you're going to polish the pinnacle. How can you make this one opportunity 10 times what it'd be for somebody else. You can really take advantage with the qualifications people see within you, and that could be a person holding you a value. It could be a family member. It could be your children. It could be somebody that sees you having to deal with the challenge to maintain that stance of being highly valued, highly respected within yourself or within your community, and they want to see what you can do with it. And I can see that can be really mentally taxing. It can put you into stagnation where you can't feel you can actually move forward. How can you move forward if you don't exactly have a game plan? And that's the problem, is that I can see a lot of people around you hold you as a person that always has a plan, that they always see you as somebody that's come out on top. And it can be nerve-wracking to realize that you could just be lucky. At the end of the day, we really don't understand how to do much in our lives without understanding that the best experience is first-hand experience, and success is often going from failure to failure with grace. So let's not forget that. It's an important thing to realize that people have seen you through your success, which you're very well at showing off, but at the same time is that it could have taken a lot of trips, falls, scuffs, scratches and scrapes and scars for you to have that image. But people don't recognize that. They see a person that doesn't have a scar on their body and has never been broke. Even if you're currently broke right now, those around you kind of see you as somebody that can maintain or obtain. If you've lost it all, you can gain it all back. In your recent past energy, we can see the Queen of Cups here. And just knowing that you can be within your element. It could be a lot of nourishment to yourself. You could have had a feeling of abundance, but at the same time is that even if you face turmoil, or if you feel anxiety, to the world around you, it seemed like you've been through this before on many occasions, to the point where either that it doesn't cause you to have an outburst. At the same time, people know that you're capable of having a bad day, but it's typically handled very well, maturely, as the Queen of Cups is very mature, but at the same time is no stranger to ups and downs that the emotional stream can bring us. The waters can be rough, they can be calm. It really fluctuates with the weather and within our eternal minds. And the Queen of Cups is a pure example of somebody that's been through, had a lot of experience, but at the same time knows how to handle it with grace, as I would say. And this can be a heavy nourishing of yourself first. That's why I would say with Taurus is self-respect is the name of the game. And investing in yourself, making sure your cup is full, and those around you get the best version of yourself, which is the overflow. Recognizing that you're never giving within your cup, to giving the outburst. Your stuff is always full, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with what others would say is being selfish, when the same thing is that you're not depending on others around you to fulfill you emotionally. Finding what fulfills you emotionally allows you to give without expectation. And if you don't have expectations of others, you're actually lining yourself up for higher success, because it can be very surprising when you invest in yourself and others see that, and they either learn from your lesson and invest in themselves, and therefore don't require your investment, or it could be that they can see how, if you don't need their constant emotionally support, that as somebody with high self-respect and self-value. In the near future, what we can see is the Six of Swords. So I can see that. I can see whatever's happened in the past, being relatively good at dealing with the calm situation maturely. The Six of Swords is showing you going from, it could be a surprise. It could be a bill. It could be a confession of a person around you. It could be a situation that changes up in your foundation. You could have realized, my bank account got shut down, my currency has been devalued, or I would say maybe even if you had somebody that trusts in your family or around you, whatever, that may have even broken into a safe, or may have taken something from you, whatever, or even something of non-monetary value has been taken, or been it could be like a Groundhog Day, where every day is similarly the same, and then having to deal with a whole new situation where you don't know if you feel qualified for it, but everyone else around you expects you to hold it together. This could be whether you're the head of a family, or people see you as somebody that's responsible, or, like I said again, well qualified to handle the situation. And just know that in the near future, whatever, if you're feeling emotionally unstable, or if you're feeling mentally blocked, or you feel like you can't move forward, know that it's going to happen in the near future, where you'll be going from these racing thoughts, these emotions, where you have to deal with feeling like stuck in your head, to the point where you don't know where the solution will come. And just realize that if you just take a minute and reflect on that, ask your higher power, your inner guidance, your guides, to give you that emotional support. Sometimes detaching from the answer is the best way. If I could describe it in other terms, it would be, have you ever had something on the tip of your tongue where you're trying to remember something, and as soon as you stop worrying about it so much, a solution comes to whatever question you had. That happens to me all the time when it comes to movies, directors. I'm terrible with actors and directors, but usually I'm really good with, internet memes and GIFs. I can always remember through like a scene from a movie, sometimes even movies I haven't even seen before. I could watch a clip on somebody else's video and I've never seen, for instance, like Jerry Maguire. You know what I mean? Like, I believe it's where you can't handle the truth. You know what I mean? I knew about it way before I even watched that movie. And so just know that your solutions will come if you just find a moment to pause and reflect, and constantly being in your head and expecting your mind to sort things out. Worrying is not going to fix your situation, so just give it a chance. Let your mind rest. I would definitely say realize that you have like a long stream of success. If you're watching this video right now and you're dealing with stress of any kind, and you're used to having things sorted out or being calm or qualified or having somewhat of a experience with the problem you're facing, and this is something new entirely, whether it be, like I say, people, places, or things, it doesn't really matter, but understand that it will transition to something that's more manageable, especially if as you gain experience over something new. It won't be new after you try to deal with it, and sure, we might stumble, we might fall, but realize that you have people around you that see you as somebody that's highly qualified, and there's a new opportunity coming for you to handle the situation. So it could be, a blessing in disguise financially if it's a financial problem or something that can be solved with money, or it's just a new way to have a foundation where you won't need to lean off somebody else or something around you. Your advice is the Page of Pentacles. So we can see it's saying take the opportunity to know something that you have little experience in. Use the enthusiasm of not really knowing something to find it exciting to learn about. Sure, we might not know everything about a field, but sometimes it can be the most advantageous. Like for myself, like I don't exactly attest myself to being the biggest expert of the tarot or the astrology, especially on YouTube community, but I have been watching for years. I'm a big fan of a lot of tarot readers that actually don't even do tarot readings anymore. Thus, I'm on here. I'm putting my foot in the door. I'm thinking if I put these videos up, I'm required to understand more. I can connect to community leaders or community members around me that have more experience, or just be involved and say, you know what, at least I'm trying. And if you're having a similar experience, where would it be not just the esoteric community, I would just say is that put your foot in the door. Allow yourself to make mistakes and have that enthusiasm to know that every opportunity that's out there, even if you don't feel like I'm qualified for it, you might actually become qualified, because you just know that if you don't understand, therefore it makes it fun to learn. And there's plenty of aspects of a business where you can actually, find, if you don't like the business side, understand the fundamental, the educational sides of it. If you're not comfortable being in front of the camera like myself, then you can figure out how to be behind the scenes. You can learn editing, and this is the field I'm talking about specifically. But also too, it could be anything else, people, places, or things. It's just saying, take a chance on somebody or something. Especially if it's an opportunity. And your advice is pretty much handle whatever situation you're coming along with. It's going to build you a foundation. Even though it doesn't look like something you've handled before. So apply that to how you will. Just know that taking a chance is very well advised, and plant those seeds. How others are seeing you as the hangman. So definitely their perception is skewed, and that's not a negative thing. Sometimes looking at something from a different angle, other people would call you crazy for it, because that's how most geniuses solve problems, is they look at it from a different angle that those around them do not typically look for. And in the hangman, the person's upside down, and oftentimes it can be disorientating to understand that how can I solve a problem by looking at it upside down, in layman's terms. And in reality, sometimes the solution just needs just that. Sometimes working harder isn't exactly smarter, but sometimes changing the perspective around, whether having a negative outlook on something and turning it into a positive, is typically how the hangman represents to me, is knowing that a solution could be there if you just look at it differently. And a lot of people can look up to that. They can see that's why you're qualified, because you're able to handle it. And that could be anything from even your attitude. Facing a difficult situation, just by understanding it only has power within your mind, and the only thing you really have control over are those thoughts. So if you just continue to realize that if you need a different perspective or a different attitude adjustment, this is your call to say people around you see you as somebody that, yes, at times they might call you eccentric, they might say something, especially if you're not in the best of terms with them, But realize, I mean, the problems they face in their life often are solved by people that, just like you are, look at it from a different perspective. And many of those people will still profit, or they're remembered in our world around us today. So don't be afraid to have a different point of view, you know. And so in your hopes is the Five of Wands. So in this card right here, this one's worth showing, is that in the Five of Wands of this deck right here, it shows them fighting a dragon, which is an alien force. You know, that's what it says in the booklet. It says, you know, it talks about, you know, having enough actions, but you're fighting against something that you don't understand. You know, the dragon represents, you know, something that's not of this world. It's a mythical force. Where how could you possibly combat something where there's no, you know, it's of legend in a sense, where there's no outline on how to do it. There's no instruction booklet. You know, it's like building something crazy out of Legos and realizing that there's no instructions on how to accomplish your goal. The best way to do it is just by simply trying. So realize that you have lots of actions and people around you, or that drive. You know, what you're facing here is something that may not make sense to you now, but honestly, it's that you know, you're hoping that you will overcome whatever the challenge is that you're unknowingly facing right now. And at the end of the day, you want to know if you're spending this effort, this passion, or I would say the drive or energy, which is definitely fine. You know, it's being today Memorial Day. I did not even want to do these readings. But I would say that the Five of Wands is telling you in your hopes that I can see that you really want to see if you're investing your energy wisely, and if it's even possible to accomplish whatever you're putting your time into. And then the outcome's the Three of Wands. So I would definitely say that you know, having, you know, everything into it. You know, is your mind, body, and spirit aligned into spending the time and what you're putting your time into? Now, this could be out of necessity. You know, if you're facing something where you have another option, you can't go back, or you're facing a life-changing opportunity and you're having to take those risks, realize is that the biggest rewards come from those that are actually willing to invest completely into what they're doing. So if you're not passionate about it on all those levels, the mind, body, spirit connection, then you're honestly just wasting your time. You know, like, you know, in weightlifting, whatever, if you don't have that mind and muscle connection, you're honestly still lifting those weights, but it's burning out those joints. So it's time to make sure you have that, definitely that mind to muscle to spirit connection, where whatever you're lifting, in a sense, whatever you're doing with your time, it's important to you, and therefore you hold value on it. And it would be absolutely, you would amaze yourself by what those things can accomplish if you just put value into it. So I would say, know that you have everything within you to do it, but if you can't conjure those passionate flames within yourself to continue to make it work and follow through. So I would say that the Three Wands to me represent the beginning, the spark, the middle, and the end. And you know, make sure that you incorporate those things. Whatever you're going to do, align those forces. So we're going to go against the world spread. So whatever situation you're facing, because we all are at times facing a situation where we don't understand, and we want to understand the world around us, but at the same time understand the impact that we have against the world. So we'll see. I'm going to use the holographic tarot, which is already pre-shuffled, but I'm going to do a minor shuffle in between cards. And it's kind of like a relationship spread. It's new to me, but I really enjoy it because, I mean, why focus on one single person when the world around us is actually our biggest challenge, you know? So 3 for you and 3 for the world and 1 mutual in the middle. The mutual energy between you and the world is the Emperor. These cards, because they're holographic, they're a little bit crazy to show on with the lights. So positions of power, respect, responsibility, but as far as wisdom, made to be old enough to, you know, to be old, and especially to keep your power that long, whatever, it must be something wise, but at the same time is that it can make you also ruthless. So whatever the world's offering you, it could be something that's definitely hardening you up, but it's also giving you many benefits and a lot of weight. I mean, it could be very tiring to be responsible, but also being in control. A lot of people don't want to be the one that's being told what to do, but at the same time, a lot of people don't want to be the ones telling you what to do, just because they're the ones that go to bed at the last, or the ones that make sure everybody else is taken care of before they take care of themselves. That's what being power is. Being empowered is responsibility. So that's the mutual energy between you and the world. So on your side, you have Judgment, and on the world side is the Queen of Pentacles. So from what I can see from the Judgment, whatever it can be, that currently the energy you're feeling is understanding that whatever actions you've done, whether it be the best ones to your ability or not. That you have to understand that it's critical that you know that there's ebb and flow, and there's times where we can do the best things we know what to do, and we could be punished for them, and still times we can get away with something where we know we're in the wrong, but we actually benefit, at least in the short term, consciously. And so it's time to understand that whatever you're investing in or your previous past is, whether it be your spending habits or who you've been spending your time with, know that it comes with consequences and rewards. So expect, to reap what you sow, but at the same time, if you're facing difficulties right now, especially when it comes to dealing with being responsible or dealing with an authority figure, whether you're that person or others around you or the system in general, I would say that you typically will face, a judgment for those actions. So also have faith. Know that there is a guide above you. There is a spiritual being out there. Whether you believe it or not, that's the problem. But honestly, if you don't believe in spiritual beings, I don't even know why you're watching this channel. So I would say is that be aware that your actions do have consequences as well as rewards, especially with dealing with the world around you or the authority system in general. Because on the world side, we have the Queen of Pentacles. And the world is honestly saying that if you harvest and if you invest in yourself, the foundation around you, the world will seem like it never rocks, it will never crack. Just because if you have that self-respect and self-love and nurturing and that gold mentality, which is also our energy as a Taurus, that you understand that, the best thing to do is to make sure that the feet up below your ground are well kept, stable, because ultimately those are the feet where you stand, not where somebody else stands, where somebody else around you stands. And if your areas around you, if your backyard and your front yard are well taken care of, well, that's your responsibility, and it's actually more easy to manage than we think. But at the same time, in the mutual energy, it can be really difficult to be somebody that says no. And that's typically what the Emperor has to say. That's his burden, but also his power is to say no and yes. So sometimes we have to learn that the world is saying it's time to invest in ourselves, because if we invest in ourselves, we don't have to rely on those around us, so much. And typically people wonder how that's how the world, that would not be a very happy world where everybody is selfish. But to me, selfishness is not exactly, such a toxic term. I would say self-investment, because if you're investing in yourself, if everybody was to do that, few people would actually need help. But because you're not one of those people requiring help, whether it be finances or emotional security or in your goals, figuring out what you want to do with your life, the world is telling you that if you invest in yourself and find some self-respect, if you don't have it already, or if you enhance on what you're doing, you'll achieve that authority figure of being the person in power. And if you're tired of taking shit, then you can give shit. And if you give too much shit, you're going to start taking some shit with judgment on your side. The next energy we're facing on your side is the Death card, and on the world's is the Seven of Cups. So we can see here is that there's a welcome end, a change. This could be whether you're investing in something that honestly that just can't go any further, and you're actually welcoming it, because the Death card typically resonates to me as somebody that's happy for a transformation, a complete and total end where it's over. Being over is perfectly happy sometimes when we're fed up with whatever path we're working on, or dealing with this Emperor character, or having to listen to an authority figure. This could be transitioning and saying, I'm done with this. I'm fed up. And this could be somebody telling you no because somebody's telling you no, or the authority figure is telling you yes. This could be, telling you that you're ending poverty because you have a new foundation. This could be you saying, I'm tired of being single, and therefore finding somebody that's saying, yes, I will, and I see you as being qualified. But at the same time, the world on its side is the Seven of Cups, which is, honestly, the world around you is, letting you know there's many options for fulfillment, but there's also many obstacles. It can seem like so many things are worthy of your emotional investment in your time, but how can we possibly know unless we experiment with them? But be careful. It's like playing a card game. Sorry, my camera cut out. It was letting me know I have low power. So anyway, back to the reading. I was saying is that we have multiple cards here with the Seven of Cups on the world's end, by letting you know that it's possible to invest in many things that are good for you and bad for you, but ultimately it's best just to pick one, because being caught up and investing your time in so many things that are spread thin can be detrimental to our health, especially our emotional health, which makes us take steps backwards when we're trying to move forwards. And the final advice for yourself and for the world, on yourself's side, we have the Three of Wands, and the advice from the world at the end is telling you is the Fool. So I can see that you have your qualifications and you're passionate, but honestly it's time for you to realize that there's greater horizons for you to accomplish. So you can be a big fish in a small pond. So it's telling you to expand and take a risk. Go someplace or experiment for something that you may not have tried before. I mean, trying the same thing over and over again can be redundant with the Three of Wands here, especially if we feel we have knowledge or we have passion, we have an ability or a talent that those around us, whether it be in our industry or immediate environment, just don't recognize or they have no use for. You can find people out there that will hold value through your investment or those talents or those passions or simply your attention span to get things done and find a different field or place where, this card to me, it depicts, ships going out into foreign lands. And I would say it's time to take an experience or something that you have that nobody else can find wherever they're from. This could be definitely saying, I would definitely try a different field, because whatever you learn from something you've experienced in or can definitely help out somebody else around you, and something completely different. And the world's definitely resonating here with the Fool. Is telling you, please, take that risk, but at the same time recognize it has with its consequences. Back here with Judgment and the Queen of Pentacles, it's like high risk, high reward. But at the same time, how can you know if you're comfortable with what you're doing, and it's causing you some tension, and you're used to dealing with people that you don't like, or you're used to dealing with the same thing every day. I mean, sure, I oftentimes, like to have the same thing to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for days on end, but at the end of the time, I eventually get sick of it and I try something new. And I often get bummed out when I waste my money on food that I actually didn't like, but it looked good on the box, or I couldn't eat it as consistently, or it was just terrible for my body. But still, at the end of the day, it's how would I know that unless I tried it for myself? So the world's definitely pushing you out by saying it's time to start a cycle over. Take your experiences to a different level or to a different region where people can benefit from whatever you experienced previously, because there's an ending that you're hoping for and it's coming for you. And whatever you're investing in, just know that it comes with consequences. You'll be judged for those. And if you want to become an authority figure within your own life or those around you, or stop dealing with toxic authority figures, it's your choice. Alright, so now I'm going to do one of the Indigo Angels oracles. Important. So we have Release and Relax. Get this one booklet. Right. Here we are. Release and Relax. Let's get the card up so you can see it. Release and relax. As an indigo, you were born to be passionate, and nothing can change that. However, this card reminds you to focus on channeling your emotions and opinions in positive and constructive ways. For the sake of peace, the angels ask you to find a creative and beneficial release for your emotions so you can move on freely. For example, you can channel anger into an artistic project or volunteering for activist work. Ask the angels to help you express yourself in healthful, beneficial ways. Make sure you're always fair to yourself, but be fair to those around you as well. Alright, Taurus, this has been your reading for September 7th through the 13th. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is Drew, and this is the Indigo Void. Take care.